You've read the reviews online, you've heard the stories, you've seen the videos, everyone agrees. The PlayStation Classic isn't very good. From the PAL region games to the blurry video quality, sluggish performance and questionable game choice. Something that was a day one must-own purchase now is considered an overpriced mistake. It hasn't been a good week for the PlayStation Classic. $100 is a lot to pay for this device. I picked up my PlayStation Classic on launch day after nearly cancelling my pre-order, but I was waiting to see when the inevitable hacks would be released, and as we found out, it was merely hours after the system went on sale in the USA. It's been about a week since Sony launched the PlayStation Classic, and I've spent many hours playing games and attempting to hack the device. Now, in the last 24 hours, there's been a new discovery that allows you to load any PlayStation game off a USB flash drive, therefore alleviating many of the concerns that people had with the substandard list of games that were included with the PlayStation Classic. So after owning the PlayStation Classic for a week, would I recommend it to you? Let's go ahead and find out. So let's first talk about what the PlayStation Classic is. At its core, it's a low-spec, low-powered ARM-based system that has 16GB of flash storage that has 20 PlayStation ROM images, or ISOs, installed onto it. The MediaTek system on a chip contains a quad-core ARM Cortex A35 CPU running at 1.5 GHz and a PowerVR GE8300 GPU. The system contains 1GB of DDR3 RAM and the 16GB of flash storage that I mentioned previously. As with all ARM-based retro throwback classic systems including the NES and Super NES Classic, an emulator is used. In this case, it's pcsx-rearmed. This is an ARMed optimized version of the PCSX PlayStation 1 emulator. There's been some negative opinions raised that this emulator is open source and that it may not be as good as something proprietary, but I disagree. pcsx-rearmed is a very capable emulator that's been developed by some of the smartest emulation developers out there. Not only is there a very fast MIPS to ARM dynamic recompiler, the GPU and SPU plugins have excellent performance.
Barry! Where's Barry?
Well, I'm sorry, but he's probably...
No.
The biggest negative about pcsx-rearmed is that it hasn't been updated in about 2 years, which means that some long outstanding bugs have still yet to be fixed. Let's talk about the games list. Many people have expressed dissatisfaction at the 20 included games, and if I go back and look at the games that I wanted back in September when the system was first announced, a grand total of 0 games made the cut. But overall, I don't think the games list is too bad. You get arguably the best fighting game on the system, a few excellent RPGs, some absolute classics in Metal Gear Solid and Resident Evil, and the Choice Director's Cut too. There's also good platforming fun with Rayman, racing games and some puzzle games also fare very well. It's a decent spread of games that has been criticised a little harsh, but on the flip side, there's nothing here that in my opinion makes the system an absolute must-own. One of the biggest issues undoubtedly has been the inclusion of 9 PAL region games. I can only assume that the reason for this was to allow for multi-language support. PAL region games run at 50 frames per second while NTSC runs at 60 frames. Even though every HDMI signal is 60 frames per second, pcsx-rearmed will emulate a PAL region system by displaying only 50 frames. To illustrate this issue, if we compare Tekken 3 on the PlayStation Classic running in the default PAL mode versus NTSC mode, you can clearly see the PAL version lag behind. The good news here is it didn't take long for someone to find a way to change the region settings. 4 hours after launch to be exact. Credit goes to Retro Gaming Arts for this discovery, and I will link his channel below. By plugging in a USB keyboard and pressing escape during gameplay, you can access the pcsx-rearmed menu, and from here you can change any PAL region games to NTSC. I also like to turn off auto frame skip and set it to 0. This will give us the smoothest possible performance. You can also save this configuration back to the PlayStation Classic, so you don't always need a keyboard to change the settings every single time. What this means is we can fix Sony's mistake and have all our games in NTSC mode. And games like Jumping Flash and GTA run very well. Many people have tried the keyboard trick but could not get it to work. This is because only a very small amount of keyboards have been whitelisted. In general, if you own a Corsair gaming keyboard, you're in luck. My keyboard is a Corsair RGB Strafe, and it only worked when I had both USB cables connected to both PlayStation Classic USB ports. When I booted up the PlayStation Classic, it said that a controller was missing, but I could use the keyboard to navigate, launch, and even play them. But the cost of a Corsair gaming keyboard is more than the PlayStation Classic itself. I don't recommend this option to anyone, and as we will talk about shortly, this method has already been superseded and made obsolete by an easier and cheaper method. In the last 24 hours, there's been a new discovery that allows you to load PlayStation games, any PlayStation game you want, off a USB flash drive. Let's go ahead and take a look at that in more detail and see how easy it is to set up. A new method has been discovered to load games from a USB flash drive, and it's really simple to do. Take any flash drive, in this example I'm using a 16GB SanDisk, and format it as FAT32. I recommend you have one with a light or LED on it to check for any disk activity, but of course this is optional. Now when you format the flash drive, you want to ensure the label is called Sony. The volume has to be called Sony, otherwise it won't work. Now the next thing we want to do is download a GitHub repository called GPG Hacks. Just click on the button called Clone or Download, and when prompted, download the zip version. Open up the zip file and then click into the GPG Hacks-master folder, and then drag the contents of this folder onto your USB flash drive. Once it's completed copying, eject the USB flash drive from your PC. Now with the power unplugged in the PlayStation Classic, insert the USB flash drive, then connect the power cable. Now wait a few moments and you will notice that the power LED is orange. Now power on the PlayStation Classic and you will see the power LED flash orange and green. This means that the hack has worked. Now power off the PlayStation Classic, remove the USB flash drive and install it back into your PC for one more step. Select the lolhack folder and then edit the file called lolhack.sh with either Notepad++ or any other text editor. Now paste the following text into the file, replacing the existing contents of lolhack.sh and save. The text needed to replace is in the description below. Now the last thing we need to do is select the Games folder, then select the 21 folder, and in this folder copy any PlayStation 1 games that you want to play on the PlayStation Classic. Once you have everything completed here, you are all finished up. Let's connect the flash drive back into the PlayStation Classic and power it up. With the USB flash drive inserted, you can launch any games with the controller plugged into USB port 1. Now when you press the select and triangle button, it will open up the pcsx-rearmed menu like we saw before when we were using the keyboard method. Now using the D-pad to navigate, select load CD image, then press the right D-pad until we see the folder called media. Then continue to press the D-pad right again until we see games. Then select 21. Once you see 21, press X and then you will see the list of games that you previously copied onto your flash drive. You can cycle through these with the D-pad left and right, and pressing X will launch the selected game. Now we can play any game we want on the PlayStation Classic. Here's a look at some of my favorites.
What is this? What's going on here?
Freeze! Who are you? What are you doing here?
Hold your fire! I'm a human!
Sorry about that.
So let me know what you think about the Sony PlayStation Classic in the comments below. For me, $100 is too expensive and I can't really recommend this device at that price. But I do think if there was a price drop to $60 or $70, that would be a much more appealing purchase at that price. Given the fact that hackers have brought functionality to the table that was not present out of the box with the Sony PlayStation Classic, that really starts to make the system more appealing. Now, you could argue that a RetroPie or an NVIDIA Shield TV, which we did review on the channel last week, can do a better job than the Sony PlayStation Classic, and that's absolutely 100% the case. But there is something to like about the Sony PlayStation Classic. It's a very simple and easy to use device. You just plug it in and play games, and that's something that for me is very appealing, especially if you want to take this on the road with you, or you're taking it on a vacation with your family, or you're in a hotel, you like to travel and you want to just plug it into a TV and start playing some classic PlayStation games. There's definitely a lot of appeal there. So $100 is not something that I can recommend. Wait for the inevitable price drop, and also we'll see more hacks and mods to the system to make it much more user-friendly to the average person to play additional emulators and additional PlayStation games on a device like this. Well guys, I'm going to leave it at that for this video. Once again, let me know what you thought about the PlayStation Classic in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.